Beyond the test.
Hello, I'm Bhalla reporting for India Says News and Views channel, and I'm here this evening with none other than Shabana Azmi, the thespian of Bollywood Indian theatre. Hello Shabana, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
As a psychology major yourself, did your degree in psychology help you with your role in Broken Images to understand it from a psychological perspective?
We must remember that I was in college 100 years ago. So the reason I actually did psychology is because my father did suggest to me that, because I was confused whether I should do literature or I should do psychology, and he said, but you said that you were interested in acting, and don't you think it might be a good idea to take up psychology, which I did. And for some time I was a very serious pop psychologist. I used to give reasons and motivations for everything that happened, and became the butt of several jokes. But actually, having some awareness of psychology does help in building a character, and more so in Broken Images because it calls itself a psychological thriller.
This play employed a very ingenious technical device that's never been used in Western or in Indian theatre before. So how difficult was it for you to memorize your lines to the extent that you could actually have a dialogue with yourself on television? I mean, what was your regimen like preparing for this?
The reason I took up the play is because I felt that it was technically really challenging, and that it would push the bar in terms of my ability as a theatre actor. And it was really quite terrifying because we didn't have enough time for rehearsal between the recorded image and the actual person. So although we'd done several rehearsals with Alec, with Manjula and the other character, we hadn't done them together. We had, I think, at the most about 6 rehearsals with the recorded image. And it was a hit and miss because nobody had very clear ideas about how exactly it was going to work. I played Manjula and recorded that voice, and then had that voice in my ear when I was shooting Malini. It really is, after the recorded image is done, and that is one take of 44 minutes. It's a first even in my career because we've never had film which is so fast or so long that you can do a single take like that. It was very amazing that I managed to do that. Also, there was this necessity to create a little difference between the two sisters. So Manjula, the writer, the original Hindi writer who takes this novel in English, her accent is different.
It must be very difficult for any actor to pull that off. I suppose it must have been more challenging than any of your other roles on screen. Do you find that your roles in theatre demand a lot more of you than...
In theatre you have the luxury of rehearsals and a longer period of rehearsals in which you can, in the process of rehearsal, by elimination, remove what is not necessary. Of course, in theatre you do not have the luxury of a retake. But you can also fake the emotion a little bit because the audience is not closing into your face. Yeah. In cinema you can't do it. In a 75 close-up, if you're lying, the cinema will catch it. And so that has its own challenges.
So we now see a lot of Indian arts and culture becoming very popularized in countries like the US and in Singapore. And it's with the help of women like the women from Phi Events who are very culturally influential NRI women who are bringing in plays like yours, and making Singapore into an arts haven. So what do you feel about this?
For any country to become an important country, it is extremely important that you focus on culture and you create an environment which is conducive to culture. And I'm very happy that the Singapore government and people privately have understood that. I mean, the fact that you have this wonderful esplanade, then you also need software for it. And it's heartening that there is an audience that is really looking for good cultural events. It's very important because I think that the success of a country can be measured by how high it rates on the cultural index, because it's very important to have influences of the international community. It's very important to have your own arts and culture also, but it's also very important to let the winds blow in. Because of globalization and satellite television, also our own cultures are moving out to the world, which is very good, because any kind of influence which is only one way, which is how it used to be earlier, cannot be very good. And so it's a happy situation to be in.
My generation has grown up in a comfortable, wealthy milieu. We haven't seen the kind of economic deprivation that is so rampant in India, and that you've seen firsthand. I mean, coming from India yourself, your father used to write a lot of poetry about the downtrodden in India. Once you told my mother that he had said, "Look at these marble floors, none of the poor will ever sleep on these floors." I hold you in great admiration. You are a social activist with particular interest in women's causes and everything, and I wanted to ask you how you feel about how you and your husband are carrying on the work of your father.
I grew up in an atmosphere where both my parents believed that art should be used as an instrument for social change. And my father was a rare poet who actually practiced what he preached. So not only did he write poetry about women, about the downtrodden, about the need to bring everybody on equal opportunity basis. He actually went and settled down in a tiny village in Mijwa in Azamgarh, UP, where he was born, and actually started working to make what was a village frozen in time, really, into a model village. My father believed that if we are to talk about progress, then we have to concentrate in India, we have to concentrate in our villages where 80% of the population lives, and that should be done through the fulcrum of the girl child, because when you empower the girl child, then you create the grounds for equal opportunity. My father, he was quite an amazing man, and at one point, when I used to get frustrated because I used to think that change doesn't happen as fast as it ought to be, I asked him, I said, "Don't you get frustrated when change doesn't occur at the pace that you want it to?" And he said something to me which has really now just become my mantra, because he said, when you're working for change, you should build into that expectation the possibility that change might not occur within your lifetime. And yet, you must have the belief that if you carry on working sincerely and without looking for immediate rewards, then change will come, even if it happens after you're gone.
I've grown up in a generation where we were exposed to very mindless entertainment. We're always in the net. We watch a lot of Bollywood films that have item numbers and don't have many take-home messages at the end of it. And we haven't seen you. I just wanted to know if you think that the scripts are becoming more asinine in their content.
I have pinned a lot of hope on the youth, particularly when I look at India, because 50% of India's population is under the age of 25. I mean, can you imagine the kind of power that we have? And I think that if the young are not involved socially and culturally, the fault lies with us seniors, because we haven't been able to provide them the kind of leadership that is required to motivate them and to get them to start caring about things outside of themselves. You can't preach and sermonize. See, the young people are not willing to get bored, and I don't blame them. I don't like getting bored either. So you have to do it in a way where you can involve them, you can get their energies and make them believe that they have the power to transform.
Yeah. But Shabana ji, it takes a serious moment to make us realize these things. Like, do you think we have to be exposed to something like this in order to actually feel like taking action?
You read, you hear, yes, you watch on television. There is so much. If you are sensitive, then that sensitivity will someday make you ask the question, why? Why is there injustice? Why is there poverty? Why is there such inequality? If you give 6,000 Indian rupees a year, you would be able to see a girl child through school and for a whole year, and it would also give her computer lessons, it would also give her some skills whereby she would be able to earn her money.
As a member of the Rajya Sabha, does it hamper your ability to take on stronger social and political causes?
I have never joined any political party because I think that when you join a party, it's putting the fetters on, because the party's truth becomes your truth. And I was a nominated member of the Rajya Sabha, so I was free to talk about whatever I had to. And in fact, my husband Javed is now a nominated member of the Rajya Sabha, and what he's done is quite stunning, because he has brought in legislation, a law, which is called the Copyright Amendment Bill, where music composers and lyricists who were being denied their rights in terms of royalty are now going to be given that.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Good luck.
You really contributed tremendously to India's importance as a cultural center. There is the possibility, I'm sure a lot of people think, one day you could be nominated to be the president of India.
I paid her to say that.
No, thank you so much. It was wonderful conversation and a great day.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.